I can't even look at the camera right now. I can't. I hate zombies in a romance. Kind of intrigues me. It's just more smut, I think. Welcome and/or welcome back to my channel. I'm Hannah Blackwell, and today I am bringing you a whole ton of monster romance recommendations. So if you did not already know, the Monster Mash Readathon is coming up from October 1st through the 10th. I have some lovely co-hosts for this readathon. If you want to learn all about it, you can check out the announcement video down below in the description or up here in the cards. And we're all going to be reading a monster romance for 10 days. Or, I mean, really, this readathon, you can read anything. You can read horror, thriller, paranormal, whatever you want to read. If it fits on the prompts, then it fits. It doesn't actually have to be monster romance. I just know myself, and I know I'm going to be reading a lot of monster romance. So I talked to my friends on the Hideaway and I asked them what they wanted to see from me in terms of monster romance recommendations for the readathon. Did they want me to go through the whole board? Did they want me to do just monster romance and save some of the other kinds of like paranormal, witchy, this and that for another video? How do they want me to do this? And they said they want me to go through the whole board. So I'm going to do that today. So I have at least 2 recommendations for each spot on the bingo board. If you didn't already know, there is a regular board and a hard mode board. And I'm going to be going through the hard mode board, because there's the same prompts on the easy mode, but there's just twice as many on the hard mode, okay? So I'm going to go through those, and I hope you're excited for this video. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I would love to have you do so. All of my social media is linked down below in the description, including my Goodreads, Instagram, Twitter, the link to my Patreon, the link to my Etsy shop where I sell bookish bookmarks and seasonal bookmarks, and the link to the Hideaway, which is a Discord community that I share with my good friend Maggie. Don't forget to leave a comment down below letting me know some monster recs of your own, because we're all going to need them with this readathon coming up. Finally, don't forget to click the like button. It really helps my channel grow. And without further ado, let's just get into this video. So let's start out with just the top row here of the bingo board. And the first slot is Gargoyle. So before I get into all of this, just let me tell you, I'm not going to be getting into synopses, whatever, because there's 58 books I'm about to talk about. I think it's 58 books. There's at least, I don't know, because some are like overlapped, right?
Doing some math here.
I don't know, guys, there's a lot. I don't.
Give up.
Please. So I'm not going to get into synopses, just general stuff. So for Gargoyles, I have Titan. This is my all-time favorite gargoyle romance. This is by Gillian Graves, and it is a daddy dom sugar baby gargoyle romance. It has like a daddy dom themes throughout, so if you're not into that in your reading, then maybe steer clear. But if that is something that you like, then check this one out. It's done really well and I loved it. Next I have How to Marry a Marble Marquis by C.M. Niscosta. This was fun. It was like historical romance meets monsters. There is a whole series that is set in this world that is like each book written by a different author, I believe. And I think actually C.M. Niscosta has another book coming out in this series, but this was the first one she wrote. And like I said, this is a marble marquis. And then we have a heroine who basically she's been shunned and now she wants a husband. She's going to have to find it at the Monsters Ball. And that's kind of the synopsis. I think in general for all of these, basically women having to find their husbands at the Monsters Ball instead of like the regular ton. This one's like a teach me themed kind of romance. I thought it was a good time. Finally, I have The Gargoyles Captive by Katie Robert. This is the 3rd book in her like monstrous series. I don't know what the series is called, but it started with The Dragon's Bride, which I really loved. And then The Kraken Sacrifice was like poo-pooey. And then this one was good. That's what I'll say. This was fine. I don't think this is like amazing, but it is a good, fast, sexy, steamy gargoyle romance that you could read if you so choose. I think it's also the shortest too, so if you're trying to fit in a lot of books. This one is the shortest. Okay, so next for succubus. This also can work for incubus if you want, however you want to do it, but the first one I have is Feed. This one I have not read. It's by Aveda Weiss, but it is on my TBR, and I am hopefully going to be getting to it during this Monster Mash. We shall see, but I don't know much about it. It's really short, and I think this is actually a Mothman too, come to think of it, but I didn't put it on the Mothman rec side. But just so you know, I think this might be a Mothman, but it's also a succubus. So this would double up. You can double, triple, however you want to do your prompts. That is fully up to you. And then I also have The Demon's Horns by Mary Mystery. She's one of my favorite Why Choose fantasy romance authors. And this one is set at this school. So it's got this academic setting and it's Why Choose. So definitely you could double up with those prompts. And our heroine is, I would basically call her a succubus. I can't remember what exactly she is, but she's like a lust demon. And I feel like that counts. You know what I'm saying? I think that counts. And this is just a fun time. I haven't continued on in this series yet, but it's 4 books, I believe, and I might continue on. We shall see. It does end on a cliffhanger, just so you know. Just be forewarned, it ends on a cliffhanger. But Mary Mystery does really fun fantasy adventure plots in her Why Choose romances so that they're not just about the romance. So it's kind of like a lot of plot and intrigue and politics and adventure and risk and stuff involved. And then also there is the sexual relationships with that too. Okay, next we have Undead. So for Undead, this can mean a lot of things. You can double up and use this as vampire. Vampire is a classic undead. Another one is a mummy, or you can do zombie, or whatever you see as undead. If there's a skeleton that is moving around, something like that, okay? So a lot of options here, and if you really don't know what to do, just read a vampire romance. That's just fine. Okay, so I have here Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. This is not a romance, but this has vampires in it, hence undead. Also, I just think it's really good for spooky season. If you haven't read it, October is the perfect time to do it. This is a short novella too. It's an epistolary novella, and it's got a poly relationship in it. Okay, I should say that. This is about Dracula's brides. This is gothic, and I don't know how I would categorize it. Maybe horror. Maybe like literary, but like paranormal. I don't know. There's also Scream for the Scarecrow by Violet Taylor. This is a short novella. I think it's less than 50 pages or around that. It's really short. So I think it's a really great option for this readathon. And it's about a scarecrow that comes alive every Halloween. And we have this heroine who goes to this pumpkin patch with her friend and has a super autumnal day drinking hot cider and whatnot and going through the pumpkin patch. She sees the scarecrow. Later, she realizes that she's left her wallet, I think, or something like that at the pumpkin patch, goes back in the middle of the night on Halloween and gets chased by the scarecrow. This is like, I would say, a romantic horror. So erotica, horror. So definitely check triggers if you're worried about that. But I thought it was a fun time. And then I found a book called Love for My Zombie Kings by Alicia McCoy. I don't know anything about this. I think it's Why Choose, and it actually looks like really fun. And the heroes, I think, are zombies or zombie kings. And it looks like something that I might actually really have a fun time with. But yeah. Zombies in a romance kind of intrigues me. Okay, so I've already recommended some Why Choose, but I've got some more for you, obviously. One is Sacrifice by Katie Robert. This is the first book in her, I actually own the whole thing, it's up there, Court of the Vampire Queen trilogy, but each book is a novella. I've actually read Sacrifice twice, but not continued the series because I really don't think it's necessary. It's just more smut, I think. If you're looking for a blood play, vampire-y, Why Choose, good time, check this one out. And it's short too. Ravaged by Monsters by Katie May and Anne Denton. This one, I've read the first 2 in this series. It's a Why Choose monster romance series that is dystopian, which something about dystopian and fall just works really well. Maybe why I want to read the zombie romance, you know? And I'm hoping the 3rd book comes out this fall. I really am. I need to look at that and see if it does. I don't know. But yeah, this is dystopian. Why choose? The monsters in here, most of them are kind of undescribable. So they would work for a couple other prompts coming up as well. And then tentacles. I have read a few tentacle-y books, but I will say my favorite that I've read is actually like a really short story, like a 20-page thing. It's called Sentenced to the Tentacle Chair. This was one of the first books that Maggie from Maggie's Books and Stuff ever made me read. And I really liked it. This was 4 stars. This is like sci-fi, futuristic. And this woman does something illegal. She's like on this alien ship, or I don't know. The point is, she does something illegal and she can choose her sentence, and she chooses to be sentenced to the tentacle chair. And I think she's sentenced for like 24 hours or something. And then it's like live streamed and the tentacles do things to her. Like it's a check your triggers, I guess. I thought this was a really fun time. Also, I have Tentacles and Teeth by Roanne Merrick. I've never read anything by Roanne Merrick, but I really want to, and I want to read this one. I actually was supposed to read this last fall, but something happened. I just didn't get to it, but I want to read it. I think it's less than 100 pages, and I think this basically has 2 kind of encounters. So I think the heroine is bi, and I think the first encounter is with a female tentacle. She's got like ghost tentacles. I don't even know. I don't know how to describe that, but she's got like ghosty tentacles. And then I think that there's also then another encounter with a werewolf, maybe? So this could also double up, right? So I think it's just a steamy good time. So the next prompt is Mothman. We have Sweet Berries, which I actually just finished. That's on a Patreon exclusive vlog that my patrons have access to currently. This is by Sam Nascosta, and this is the 2nd book in her Cambric Creek series. And this is about a Mothman. It's a novella, short and sweet. Another Why Choose, which I don't know, I love Why Choose in the fall too. I really feel like I love Why Choose Paranormal and Why Choose Monsters, I think. So it's called Saved by the Monsters. I think there's a Mothman, a Minotaur, and some other creature in here. There's 3 different kinds of monsters, so this would also probably help you get other prompts too. Okay, for a witch, I have The Very Secret Society of Regular Witches, which is a book that I just read and is an all-time favorite now. And this is a cozy, witchy, cozy fantasy romance. And I loved it. Seriously, it's House on the Cerulean Sea meets practical magic. Found family to the wazoo, but also a lot of examination on like loneliness and issues with like family in your childhood, abandonment issues, different things like that. So it had a lot to say, but it felt so freaking cozy. It made me cry. I loved it. I loved it. If you want something like a break from all of the steam, maybe try this one. Then I also have Coven by Harper L. Woods. This is the first book in a trilogy, I believe. The 2nd book just came out. And this is a dark fantasy romance, witchy school setting. So you would get school setting knocked off. And then you'd also be able to knock off vampire if you wanted to as well. Or demon, or, you know, undead, whatever, however you want to move stuff around. Fully up to you. And then I have Beast. So this is, you know, your beasties. I have Ravaged by Monsters again, which I had already recommended. And because one of the monsters in this is basically a big beast. And the second one I have is The Beast by Jenica Snow. And this is supposed to be a novella, and it's a Beauty and the Beast retelling with an actual monster beast. I need to read that like now. Another like double up, I have a Sacrifice for vampires. I also have Entombed by Blood by Mary Mystery. So another Mary Mystery book. The series is really fun and political as well. And it's got lichens. So you could use the shifter, like knock off the shifter prompt. And then it's also got vampires. And the series is called the Daughter of Cain series. And then there's also Queen Takes Knights, which is a Why Choose Vampire romance. I think there's a lot of blood play. I do believe this is a novella, but it's a novella series. And it's one I'm definitely very interested in. I've heard really good things about it. And a couple of double ups here too. I just threw in, but like literally there's so many academic settings out there, but I threw in the Coven and Demon's Horns for academic setting. Okay, so next we have 4 legs. The first recommendation I have for this is The Centaur in My Forest. I've not read this yet. It's by L.B. Lane. This is in her, what is the series called? I can't remember the name of the series, but I want to read the series, and I think they're all fairly short. And I think there's actually 2 Centaur books in this series, but this is the first one. I also have A Lady of Rooksgrave Manor, another Why Choose Monster romance that can knock off a ton on the board for you. And the super steamy, super spicy. If you're looking for just straight up 450 pages of straight up erotica, have at it. But there is a Sphinx in this one. That's all I'm going to say. We have Thieves and Monsters. This would also work for multiple heads, but at one point things do happen while the Cerberus is in Cerberus form. So basically this is Why Choose. There are these 3 shifters that can also shift into one form together as Cerberus. Okay, for general monster, this is literally like if there's a monster that doesn't fit into a trope or a category, then you can use this. I have on here Scream for the Scarecrow. That one I talked about, I thought was really fun. I think it can work for undead. It can work for a Halloween setting. And then Ravaged by Monsters, also some of the monsters on here I would say work as like a nondescript monster. For ghosts, I've only read one of these, but one is 4 psychos, and I think this is a Why Choose about, I think the girl is a ghost and the guys are psychos, and she haunts them to the point of relationship status. I'll just say that. I don't know. I've heard that it's really good. And then I have You're So Dead to Me by Stephanie Holmes. This is a Why Choose with Ghosts. I just read the first book in one of her other series, and I'm obsessed with her now. I have already decided. I'm fully obsessed. I'm ready to go. She writes cozy, paranormal, spooky, Why Choose cozy mysteries. Obviously perfection. And then Legacy Witches by Cass K. This is not a romance. This is I would say like a cozy paranormal horror series. It's urban fantasy. There's witches, and I really love the way the witches are portrayed. I loved this first book. The second book was a little bit, not of a disappointment, but it was like a 4-star for me as opposed to a 5-star. But I am really looking forward to continuing on in the series. There's found family. There is some good trans rep in here too. And yeah, I thought the witchy vibes were perfection, and it's set in Salem. Oh, for Grim Reaper, I have Insurrection by R.L. Calder and M. Sinclair. I had put this on my vote, like it was one of the options for y'all to vote on for a Why Choose Paranormal for me to read this fall. It did lose, but I'm still interested in it. I still would like to get to it. But I guess the heroine's dad is the Grim Reaper, and I would say that counts. This would also count for demons because I think they're all demons. Like they all live in hell. So they're all like demons, but also I would say this counts for Grim Reaper because her dad is the Grim Reaper. Then I have The Grim Reaper's Lawyer by Mia Monique, and this is a paranormal romance about a girl who I think she dies and then becomes the Grim Reaper's lawyer. And I think that they have a romance together. And there's like a case that they're working on together, so it's kind of like a forced proximity situation too. You didn't already know, free space is obviously free. You don't have to read anything for that. You just get a free space. Okay, so obviously for some of these too, I can go on. Like for Shifter, I have tons of recommendations for shifters, but a few that I would like to point out are Baby and the Late Night Howlers by Catherine Moon, another Catherine Moon. This is an Omegaverse book, and it's very sweet, and I thought it was really good. This is probably my favorite Catherine Moon. I also have The Mate Game. So the first book is Obsession. This is by Kayla Rain and Meg Ann. And this is a Why Choose. There's vampires, shifters, a demigod, a school setting. So definitely this could help you cross off a lot on the board. And also I do have That Time I Got Drunk and Yeeted a Love Potion at a Werewolf by Kimberly Lemming. I adore Kimberly Lemming. I adore this series. I've loved all of the books in it. I think I gave the first book 4 stars and gave the second book and the novella 5 stars. 5 stars. And I love it. It's cozy. Not like there's higher stakes in some of them, but like I would still say like the vibes are quite cozy. And I really like the strength of the female characters, and I really like I just like everything about it. I like the world. I love the rap. I like the world. I like the humor in it too. I think it's so freaking funny. I love it. Now I have multiple heads. And I guess it could mean that too. Like the other kind, but I'm just going with multiple heads. And the first one is a Fallen for the Two-Headed Dragon. And I think this is Norse inspired, and I think she somehow gets stuck in a cave with a two-headed dragon. I think in Norse mythology, dragons have 2 heads, or at least some of them do. So I think that's where that comes from. So this might also have like cold weather vibes too, maybe. I also have Thieves and Monsters, which I already discussed. Wait, okay, and then I have Mated by the Two-Headed Viking King. Is this the Viking one? I don't know. Y'all look this up. One of those two has like, I mean, obviously the Viking King one has the Viking vibes, but does the dragon one? I don't know. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I haven't read those two. I've read Thieves and Monsters. That's Cerberus, definitely multiple heads. You should check out some of the fan art for that book. Oh my god. For the other ones, yeah, I'm not sure. So for Ogre, the only Ogre book that I've read has been Ogre's Pet, and I really liked this one a lot. This is by Cassandra Cross, and it's quite dark, so just know that. Check your triggers, but it's a girl who knows she shouldn't go into the forest, but basically gets chased into it and comes across an ogre and becomes the ogre's pet. There's also No Getting Ogre You, and I want to read this one. This looks really good. It's on my TBR for sure, and that's by M.L. Eliza. And I also have this really cute autumnal cover one, and it's called Ogre My Dead Body by Violet May. Is it Violet May? Yeah. Ogre My Dead Body, and it's got this really cute autumnal cover that I'm obsessed with. No, I don't know anything about it. For Orc, I have read all of these because I have a thing for Orc romances. And so I do have The Orc and Her Bride by Lila Gwen. I love this. This is a sapphic romance. I gave it 4 stars because one of the heroines I was just not much of a fan of, and you'll know which one if you read it. But this was really sweet. I would say it was quite cozy too. And I loved that it was a sapphic orc romance because I have not really seen many of those. Of Wed to the Orc by Layla Faye. This is a whole series, and I think for this series most are written by a different author, but I think the first and this one are written by the same author. The other one's like an ice giant one. So but this one was really cool. The orc is a scientist. Basically, there's this service where humans get to sign up to marry a monster, but they like really want to. He's like really, really well off because the science that he does, like that he works on, is really, really important to the world. So he's really well off, and she's grown up really poor. It's very cute. She is 100% sunshine, and he's a grumpy, grumpy, grumpy MFer. He's super grumpy. She's just like the sweetest ray of sunshine in the world. And I also have The Orc from The Office by Kate Pryor. This was really fun. I read this recently, and I just thought I'd throw this in here too. I've got other orc romances, but this is a more recent read, and I just like that it had the office setting and like HR, but it was like MR, Monster Resources. And our heroine is a human, I believe, and her and this orc accidentally mate bond, and it creates a whole freaking mess of a situation at the office. Okay, it first takes place on Halloween. I have Jack, which is a Pumpkinhead novella, and I think there's actually a second book that has come out in this series, but I thought this was a ton of fun. And I also have Scream for the Scarecrow, which I've already discussed. That's definitely set on Halloween. There's a whole ton of Halloween romances that I do want to read. probably a lot of Pumpkinhead ones too. Okay, so next we have Demon or Devil. And so this I've doubled up some that I've used previously. So I've got Insurrection here. And then I also have the Demon's Horns. And then for Minotaur, I have Morning Glory Milking Farm. Obviously, that's one of my favorite monster romances. I love Morning Glory Milking Farm by Sam Nascosta. Also, I've got Wed to the Minotaur, and this is in that same series as Wed to the Orc, and I definitely want to read it. It's a different author, but I'm very interested in all of the books in that series, and they are all novellas as well, I believe. I've also heard really good things about Regina Abel's series, and it's like Monster Alien series, and she does have a Minotaur book that looks really good too, and the Minotaur in this one is like stark white, which is like interesting. I'm like, is he an ice Minotaur? I don't know. Then we have Pumpkinhead, and this means like a monster with a pumpkin head. Or if you are not interested in a Pumpkinhead monster, you can stretch it and do something like set in a pumpkin patch if you want to do. Like, that's up to you, but I would say like a Pumpkinhead. So Jack is one that I've read that I really liked, and then Pumpkin Smash is one that's on my TBR too. And I do think this is also set on Halloween. Heard it's actually cozy. This is the only one that I gave one recommendation for, and that's because I'm terrified of this alone. And I am actually reading this for a vlog. No, I won't tell you what the vlog's about. I can't even look at the camera right now. I can't. I don't even want to talk about it. But this is apparently it's amazing, and I've just started this, so and like no shame. I just have a thing. Like, and then we have snake. Now this can be like nagas, vipers, serpents, however you want to say, whatever. So for this one, I have a viper, and I've heard really great things about this whole series, and it's an alien romance series. There's a lot of alien crossover, right? Like, if this is an alien planet and they have monsters living on there, like, which one is it really? You know what I'm saying? So Viper, I've heard really good things about this one. And then Married to the Naga. No, I Married a Naga. And this is Regina Abel's series 2. So the same series as I Married a Minotaur. I think that series starts with I Married a Lizard Man, that I've actually heard is quite cozy, and it's like a little farm game kind of situation. So I Married a Naga is that next one. So that was it. Okay. So this was 58 recommendations. I guess there was some crossover. So maybe it was like less. That's fine. A crap ton of recommendations for Monster Mash Readathon, or if you're not participating in Monster Mash Readathon, just monster romance recommendations in general. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, don't forget to click the like button, comment down below, and give me some more recommendations, please. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I'd love to have you do so. All of my social media is linked down below in the description, including my Goodreads Instagram, the link to my Patreon, link to the Hideaway, which is the Discord I share with my good friend Maggie, plus the link to my Etsy shop where I sell bookish and seasonal bookmarks, including the bookish merch for this readathon, which is 3 different sets of bookmarks that are flipping cute as hell. They're all technically one of a kind, but they all will look fairly similar. So this is the Gothic and Forbidden trope one for the Monster Mash Readathon. It's got hand-dyed paper, and so each one's going to look a little bit different, maybe a little bit of different lace or in different like whatever. So yours is always going to be 100% unique, but it's in general going to basically look like this. And then we have Monster and Fated Mate with a spider on the back, and the front has this spider paper on it. And then I also have Enemies to Lovers and Captor Captive. So if you're interested in these or more bookmarks, definitely check my Etsy shop out down below in the description. The co-hosts for the Monster Mash Readathon are also going to be linked down below. Some of them have their own rec videos too, so make sure you check that out. I'm also going to have the Monster Mash playlist linked down below too, so you can get all sorts of more Monster Mash goodies and Monster Mash content if you are a monster romance girly like me. Until next time, fellow readers, keep reading and living your best life.